The office smelled like fresh coffee and printer ink, the hum of laptops and quiet chatter filling the open space of the tech startup where I just started working. It was Friday, June 6, 2024, the summer sun streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows at 12:51 p.m., casting golden streaks across the wooden desks. I'd landed this job as a junior data analyst after months of searching, and on that first day, I was more focused on not messing up than anything else. I adjusted my tie, probably too formal for a startup, but I wanted to make a good impression, and set up my laptop, the screen glowing with spreadsheets I'd been tasked to organize. That's when I saw her, Elena. She was across the room, standing by the coffee machine, her dark hair pulled into a loose ponytail, her laugh bright as she chatted with a coworker. She wore a light blue blouse and a white skirt, the kind of outfit that looked effortless but perfect, and I couldn't take my eyes off her. I'd never thought of myself as particularly attractive. Average height, brown hair, a bit too skinny. With glasses I always forgot to clean, but something about her made me wish I was. She turned, her hazel eyes catching mine for a split second, and I quickly looked down at my screen, my face burning. I told myself to focus, but my mind kept drifting back to her. The afternoon passed in a blur of onboarding forms and team introductions, but I couldn't shake her presence. Her nameplate read, Elena Martinez, Marketing Specialist, and I learned she'd been with the company for a year, helping launch their latest app campaign. At lunch, I grabbed a sandwich from the break room. The air wore with the scent of toasted bread, and sat at a corner table, hoping to stay invisible. That's when she approached, a cup of coffee in her hand, her smile warm and disarming. "You're the new guy, right?" she said, her voice smooth, a hint of an accent I couldn't place. "I'm Elena. Mind if I join you?" I nodded, my throat tight, and she sat across from me, her presence filling the small space. "So, what's your story?" she asked, sipping her coffee, her eyes curious. I stumbled through my answer. Fresh out of college, data analyst, first real job, but she listened like it was the most interesting thing she'd heard all day. "Numbers guy, huh?" she teased, her smile playful. "I'm more of a words person. Marketing's my thing. But I bet you're good at figuring out puzzles." I laughed, a nervous sound, but her ease made me relax. Just a little. The days stretched on, the office thinning out as people headed home for the weekend, the summer light fading into a soft evening glow. I started noticing things about Elena that made my heart race. She'd linger by my desk to ask about my weekend, her hand brushing my shoulder as she laughed at my awkward jokes. She'd bring me coffee sometimes, remembering I liked it black, and once left a sticky note on my monitor. "Great job on the report, smiley face." I'd stare at that smiley face for longer than I'd admit, my self-doubt warring with a growing hope. I didn't think someone like her, beautiful, confident, magnetic, could be interested in someone like me, but her attention felt real, deliberate. I wanted to ask her out, to take her for coffee outside the office, but every time I tried, the words stuck in my throat. What if I was misreading her? What if she laughed, or worse, pitted me? I walked home that evening, the summer air warm against my skin, the city alive with the buzz of Friday night crowds. I couldn't stop thinking about Elena, her smile, her laugh, the way she made me feel seen. I didn't know it then, but that moment in the office, her words lingering like a promise, was the start of something that would change everything. I was falling for her hard, and I had no idea how deep that fall would take me. The weeks slipped by like a warm summer breeze, and by late June 2024, Elena had become the highlight of my days at the tech startup. The office was still buzzing with the scent of coffee and the soft clack of keyboards, but now it felt alive in a way it hadn't before, her presence a constant pull I couldn't resist. It was Friday, July 3rd, the summer sun blazing outside, the windows reflecting a golden haze as the workday wound down. I'd settled into my role as a junior data analyst, my spreadsheets neater, my confidence growing, thanks, in part, to her. She kept up her little gestures, brushing my shoulder, leaving notes, bringing me coffee, and each one made my heart race, my self-doubt battling a hope I couldn't shake. I wanted to ask her out for weeks, rehearsing the words in my head as I walked home each night, the city streets alive with a hum of evening traffic and the distant laughter of people enjoying the summer. But I never found the courage, my mirror telling me I was still the same unremarkable guy. Brown hair, glasses, a tie that never sat right. Then, that Friday, everything changed. I was packing up my laptop, the office emptying out, when Elena appeared at my desk, her dark hair loose, her hazel eyes bright. "Hey," she said, her voice soft but firm. "What are you doing tonight?" I froze, my hands fumbling with my bag. Nothing much." I managed, my face heating up. She smiled, a real smile that lit up her face. "Good. Let's grab coffee." My treat. We walked to a small cafe a block from the office. The evening air warm and fragrant with blooming jasmine from the planters along the sidewalk. The cafe was cozy, its wooden table scratched but inviting. The air thick with the aroma of roasted beans and freshly baked pastries. We ordered black coffee for me, a latte with cinnamon for her, and sat by the window, the summer light fading into a soft purple dusk. "I've been meaning to get to know you outside work," she said, stirring her latte, her fingers graceful. "You're different, you know. Quiet, but there's something about you." I swallowed hard, my heart pounding. "Different good?" I asked, and she laughed, the sound like music. "Definitely good." We talked for hours, the cafe filling and emptying around us, the clink of cups and murmur of conversation a backdrop to our voices. She told me about her love for marketing, how she'd once dreamed of being a travel writer, her trips to Spain where she'd picked up that hint of an accent. I shared my college days, my struggle with numbers that turned into a passion, my quiet life in a small apartment with a view of the park. She leaned in as I spoke, her eyes locked on mine, and I felt seen in a way I never had. "You're more interesting than you think," she said, her hand resting briefly on mine, sending a jolt through me. I wanted to hold on to that moment forever. After that night, coffee dates became our thing. We'd meet after work, sometimes on weekends, the summer stretching out with long evenings at cafes, then restaurants. Small Italian places with candlelight, sushi spots with a tang of soy sauce in the air. She'd laugh at my terrible chopstick skills, teach me Spanish phrases, her voice warm and teasing. I'd tell her about my family, my dreams of traveling, and she'd listen, her hand brushing mine across the table. By mid-July, I felt bold enough to invite her over. My place is small, I warned, my apartment a modest one-bedroom with mismatched furniture, the scent of old books and coffee lingering. She grinned. "I don't care. I'd love to see it." That first night at my place was magical. We ordered takeout, Chinese, the boxes spread across my coffee table, the air filled with the spice of Kung Pao chicken, and watched a movie, some romantic comedy she picked, her laughter echoing off my walls. We sat close on the couch, her shoulder against mine, and when the credits rolled, she turned to me, her eyes soft. "This is nice," she said, and I nodded, my voice lost. We started spending more nights there, the routine settling in. Cooking together, her pasta better than mine, her sketches scattered on my table, the intimacy growing with every touch, every shared silence. I was falling for her, deeper each day, and I thought she felt it too. One evening, about a month later, in early August 2024, I drove past the cafe where we'd first gone, the windows glowing with warm light. That's when I saw her, Elena, standing outside with a man. He was older, tall, with dark hair, and he leaned in, kissing her cheek. Her face tightened, a flicker of discomfort crossing her features before she forced a smile. My chest clenched, my hands gripping the steering wheel as I pulled over, my mind racing. Who was he? I waited until she was alone, then texted her. "Saw you with someone." "Who was that?" Her reply came fast. "Can we talk?" "Tomorrow." I didn't sleep that night. The summer heat oppressive, my thoughts a tangle of love and fear. The next day, we met at the park, the grass dry underfoot, the air thick with the scent of cut lawn. She sat beside me on a bench, her hands twisting in her lap, her face flushed. "That was my husband," she said, her voice low. "I'm married, but I want out. It's not what you think." I stared at her, shock freezing me, my heart sinking. "Married?" I whispered, and she nodded, tears in her eyes. "It's a sham." He uses me as arm candy for his business meetings. No kids, no love. I've been planning to leave. I didn't know what to say, my mind reeling, and I walked away, needing space, her words echoing as I left her there. The week after I saw Elena with her husband felt like a lifetime, each day dragging to the thick August heat of 2024. It was mid-August now, the sun relentless as it baked the city, the air shimmering above the asphalt outside my apartment. I'd stopped going to the office as much, working remotely when I could, claiming I needed focused time for my data analysis projects. The truth was, I couldn't face her, not yet. The tech startup's open space, once a place of quiet excitement with her laughter echoing, now felt like a minefield. I'd see her desk, her nameplate, Elena Martinez, marketing specialist, and my chest would tighten, a mix of longing and betrayal I couldn't untangle. I hadn't answered her text since that day in the park. Her words! It's a sham. He uses me as arm candy. No kids, no love. Replaying in my mind like a broken record. She'd message me every day, her tone shifting from desperate to soft. Please talk to me. Then I miss you. Then I'm sorry. I wanted to believe her, to hold on to the Elena I'd fallen for, the one who'd laughed over coffee, who'd sketched in my apartment, who'd made me feel like I was enough. But the word married was a wall I couldn't climb. I'd always thought of myself as unremarkable, a guy who didn't stand out, and now I wondered if I'd been a fool, a distraction for a married woman looking for an escape. My apartment became my refuge, the small space cluttered with takeout boxes and unopened books. The air warmed despite the fan whirring in the corner. The summer heat seeped through the windows, the part below alive with kids splashing in fountains. Couples sharing ice cream, their happiness a stark contrast to the storm inside me. I spent nights on my couch, the TV on but unwatched, my mind replaying every moment with her, the way her hand felt in mine, her laughter over sushi, the quiet nights at my place. Then I'd see her husband's face, that kiss on her cheek, her forced smile, and my stomach would churn. I didn't know what to do, so I did nothing, letting the days slip by in silence. By the seventh day, August 14th, 2024, I couldn't avoid her messages anymore. I'd come back to the office that morning. The air conditioning a relief against the sticky heat outside, the office quieter with half the team on summer vacation. Elena wasn't there. I'd check her desk first, but a small envelope sat on my keyboard, my name scrawled in her loopy handwriting. My heart raced as I opened it, the paper trembling in my hands. Inside were 3 letters, each dated over the past week, her words spilling across the pages like a confession I wasn't ready for. The first letter was an apology, her tone raw. I should have told you sooner, she wrote. I've been trapped in this marriage for years, a contract more than a relationship. I never meant to hurt you. The second was a memory, her words painting the night we'd cooked pasta together, how she'd laughed when I burned the garlic, how she'd felt safe with me. You make me feel alive, she wrote, and I felt a lump in my throat. The third was a plea, her handwriting shaky. I love you, she wrote, the words bold and underlined. I've never said that to anyone before, not like this. I'm leaving him. I've already started the process. Please, give me a chance to prove it. I sat at my desk, the letters spread before me, the office fading around me, the hum of the air conditioning, the distant clack of keyboards, the scent of coffee from the break room, all of it distant as her words sank in. I love you. I dreamed of hearing that from her, but now it came with a weight I didn't expect. I thought about her husband, the man who'd kissed her cheek, who used her as a beautiful wrapper for his business deals. No kids, no love, she'd said it herself. I wanted to believe her, to trust that her feelings for me were real, but the sting of her secret was still fresh, a wound I couldn't ignore. That evening, I walked home, the summer sun dipping low, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, the city alive with the buzz of evening crowds. I stopped by the park where we'd talked, the bench empty now, the grass still dry underfoot. I sat there, her letters in my pocket, their weight a reminder of the choice I had to make. I didn't want to break up a family, but if she was telling the truth, there was no family to break. Just a facade, a hollow marriage she was already dismantling. I pulled out the third letter, rereading her words, I love you, and felt a flicker of hope, small but stubborn, pushing through the hurt. I texted her that night, my fingers trembling as I typed. We need to talk. Tomorrow. She replied instantly. Thank you. I'll be there. The summer heat lingered, the air thick with the promise of rain, and I lay awake, the fans of a steady rhythm against my racing thoughts. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but I knew I couldn't walk away. Not yet. Elena had lied. Yes, but her letters felt like truth, and I needed to hear from her, to see it in her eyes. The park lights twinkled outside, and I closed my eyes, her words echoing as I drifted into an uneasy sleep. The late August heat clung to the city like a heavy blanket, the air thick with the scent of dry grass and distant rain, as I walked the park on August 15th, 2024. It was a Saturday morning, the sun already high, casting dappled shadows through the trees. The park quieter than usual with only a few joggers and dog walkers dotting the paths. I'd texted Elena the night before, we need to talk, tomorrow, and she'd replied instantly, her word a lifeline I wasn't sure I could trust. Thank you. I'll be there. I reached the bench where we'd last talked, the wood warm under my hands, and sat down, my heart pounding as I waited, her letters still folded in my pocket, their words, I love you, burning in my mind. She arrived a few minutes later, her dark hair loose, her hazel eyes searching mine as she approached. She wore a simple white sundress, the hem fluttering in the faint breeze, and she looked beautiful. But there was a tension in her posture, a nervousness I hadn't seen before. Hi, she said softly, sitting beside me, her hands clasped in her lap. I nodded, my throat tight, unsure how to start. The park hummed around us, birds chirping, a child's laughter in the distance. But it felt like we were in our own bubble, the weight of her confession hanging between us. Thanks for meeting me, she said, her voice steady but low. I owe you the truth, all of it. I looked at her, my chest tight, and nodded again. Tell me, I said, my voice rougher than I intended. She took a deep breath, her fingers twisting together, and began. I've been married to David for 3 years, she said, her eyes fixed on the ground. It was a mistake from the start. He's a businessman, owns a consulting firm, and I met him when I was interning there. He swept me off my feet, promised me the world, but it was all a show. After we married, I became the trophy. He takes me to meetings, dinners, events, to impress his clients. I'm there to smile, look pretty, and stay quiet. There's no love, no partnership. We don't even share a bed anymore. Her words hit hard, a mix of relief and anger swirling in me. No love. That was what she'd said in the part before. But hearing the details made it real. Why didn't you leave sooner? I asked, my voice softened now, though the hurt still lingered. She glanced at me, her eyes glassy. I tried, she said, but he controls everything, my bank account, my phone, even where I go. He's not violent, but he's manipulative. He'd guilt me into staying, say I'd ruin his business, that I owed him. I felt trapped. She paused, her voice breaking. Then I met you, and everything changed. You made me feel like me again, like I could be free. I sat there, the bench creaking under us, the summer heat pressing down, and I felt the anger shift, not at her, but at him, David, this man who'd turned her into a prop, who'd stolen her light. I thought about the man I'd seen, the kiss on her cheek, her forced smile, and it made sense now. What's your plan? I asked, my hands clenched on my knees. She looked at me, a spark of determination in her eyes. I've been saving money in secret, she said. Not much, but enough to get a lawyer. I started the divorce process last month. Filed the papers, hired someone to help me. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to drag you into my mess until I was sure I could leave. Her honesty cut through my doubt, her words echoing the letters I'd read. I'm leaving him. Give me a chance. I pulled the letters from my pocket, holding them up, my voice low. You said you loved me, I said, and her face softened, a tear slipping down her cheek. I do, she whispered. I've never felt this way before. Not with David. Not with anyone. You're kind, you're real, and you see me, not some perfect image. I'm so sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I was scared you'd walk away. I swallowed hard, my throat tight, her words sinking in. I wanted to believe her, to trust her, but the sting of her secret was still there, a shadow I couldn't ignore. We sat in silence for a moment, the park alive around us, the sun climbing higher, the heat intensifying. I thought about the past months, the coffee dates, the nights at my place, her laughter filling my small apartment. I'd fallen for her hard, and those feelings hadn't gone away, even with the truth. I don't want to ruin a family, I said finally, my voice steady. But if there's no family, if it's really just a facade, I need to know you're serious about leaving. She nodded, her hand reaching for mine, her touch warm and hesitant. I am, she said. The lawyer says it'll take a few months, but I'm done with him. I want to be with you if you'll have me. I looked at her, her eyes searching mine, and I felt that flicker of hope grow, pushing through the hurt. I squeezed her hand, my heart racing, and nodded. Okay, I said, the word heavy but real, but we take it slow. I need time to trust again. She smiled a small, relieved smile and leaned her head on my shoulder, the summer breeze rustling the leaves above us. The park stretched out before us, the world moving on, and I knew this wasn't the end of our story, just a new, uncertain chapter. I loved her, despite everything, and I hoped that love could rebuild what her secret had broken. The air turned crisp by early September 2024, the summer heat giving way to a cool breeze that carried the scent of fallen leaves as I walked the office on September 2nd. The tech startup felt different now. The open space quieted with the return of the team from summer breaks, the hum of laptops and the aroma of coffee mingling with a faint chill seeping through the windows. Elena and I had started talking again after our park conversation, her hand in mine a tentative bridge over the chasm her marriage had created. She'd promised to leave David, her husband, and I believed her, or at least I wanted to. But the trust I'd lost was a wound that hadn't healed, a shadow lingering in every glance we shared. We'd agreed to take it slow. Her words from the bench, I'm serious about the divorce, echoing as we navigated this new phase. She'd shown me emails from her lawyer, dated late August, outlining the separation process, the division of assets, the end of a marriage she described as a prison. I'd felt a surge of relief seeing those documents. The official letter had a concrete sign. She wasn't lying, but my heart still hesitated. At work, we kept it professional, her desk across the room, her smile warm but restrained. But outside, we'd meet after hours, grabbing coffee or walking the park, her hand brushing mine as we talked about her plans. It'll take months, she said one evening, the air cool against our skin, but I'm free of him soon. The office became a strange battlefield. Some co-workers noticed a shift, her lingering glances, my flushed cheeks, and whispers started. They're close. I overheard Sarah from design say one day, her voice low over the coffee machine, the steam rising like a veil. I wanted to defend us, to shout that it wasn't what they thought, but I couldn't. Elena's marriage was a secret I carried, a weight that made every smile from her feel like a risk. One afternoon, my manager, Tom, pulled me aside, his office smelling of old paper and mint gum. You're doing great, he said, but keep it focused. No distractions. I nodded, my face burning, knowing he'd seen something, though he didn't say it outright. I supported Elena as best I could, listening to her late-night calls with her lawyer, the frustration in her voice as she detailed David's delays, stalling the paperwork, demanding more money. We'd sit on my couch, the apartment warm with the scent of her lavender perfume, her sketches scattered across the coffee table, her head resting on my shoulder. He's fighting it, she'd say, her tone weary. Says I can't leave without his approval. But the lawyer says it's my right. I'd hold her, my arms a shield against her past, and feel a mix of pride and fear. Proud she was fighting, scared she might not win. I loved her, that hadn't changed. But loving her now meant carrying her burden too. One night, about a week later, on September 9th, 2024, I drove past the office after a late meeting. The streets quiet, the streetlights casting long shadows. That's when I saw her, Elena, standing outside with David. He was taller than I remembered, his suit crisp, his hand on her arm as he spoke, his face hard. She pulled away, her expression tight, and he laughed, a sound that carried even through my closed window. My chest tightened, my hands gripping the steering wheel, memories of that first kiss on her cheek flooding back. I didn't stop, didn't confront them. I drove home, the autumn air cool against my skin, my mind racing. Back in my apartment, I paced the floor, the fan whirring uselessly against the lingering summer heat, her letters from August still tucked in a drawer. I texted her, "Saw you with him tonight. What's going on?" Her reply came fast. "It was a meeting. He's pressuring me to sign something." I didn't want to. I stared at the screen, my heart sinking, the trust I'd been rebuilding wobbling. I wanted to believe her, to see her fight as proof of her love, but seeing David's hand on her arm brought the doubt back, sharp and cold. I sat on the couch, her sketch of me from weeks ago staring up from the table, and wonder how long I could hold on before the truth, whatever it was, pulled us apart. The early autumn chills settled over the city by late September 2024. The leaves turning shades of amber and crimson, their crunch underfoot a constant reminder of time moving forward. It was September 20th, a Friday evening, and I'd invited Elena to my apartment after work. The air crisp as I opened the door for her, the scent of her lavender perfume mixing with the faint warmth of my space. I hadn't been able to shake the image of her with David outside the office, his hand on her arm, her tense expression, his cold laugh, and though she texted me that it was just a meeting, the doubt gnawed at me. Tonight, we'd talk, really talk, and I needed to know if I could keep trusting her. The tech startup had been tense since I'd seen them together. The office's open space filled with a hum of keyboards and the occasional whisper of coworkers noticing our distance. I kept my head down, focusing on my data analysis, the spreadsheets of distraction from the ache in my chest. Elena had tried to reach out. Small smiles across the room, a coffee left on my desk, but I'd been guarded, my replies short. I loved her, that hadn't changed. But love wasn't enough if I couldn't trust her. Her divorce papers were moving forward. Her lawyer emails a steady stream of updates. But seeing David with her had reopened the wound of her secret, and I needed clarity. We sat on my couch. The apartment wore with the glow of a single lamp, the takeout boxes of Thai food, spicy pad thai, her favorite, spread across the coffee table. She looked nervous, her dark hair tucked behind her ears, her hazel eyes searching mine as she picked at her food. "Thanks for having me over," she said softly, her voice hesitant. I nodded, my throat tight, and set my fork down. "We need to talk about David," I said, my voice steady but low. "I saw you with him, and you said it was a meeting, but I need to know what's really going on. I can't keep wondering." She sighed, her shoulders slumping, and set her plate aside, her hands twisting in her lap. "I should have told you right away," she said, her tone raw. He showed up unannounced, demanding I sign a new agreement. Something about keeping his business assets separate. He's stalling the divorce, trying to control me even now. I told him no, that I'm done, but he doesn't listen. Her voice broke, her eyes glassy, and I felt a surge of anger, not at her, but at him, this man who trapped her for years, who still thought he owned her. I reached for her hand, her fingers cold in mine, and squeezed gently. "Why didn't you tell me that night?" I asked, my voice softer now. She looked at me, a tear slipping down her cheek. "I didn't want to burden you," she said. "You've already been so patient, dealing with my mess. I thought I could handle it, but I should have been honest. I'm sorry." Her words echoed her letters from August. "I love you. Give me a chance." And I felt the doubt begin to ease, replaced by a quiet resolve. She wasn't hiding from me. She was protecting me in her own way, and that meant something. We talked for hours, the autumn night deepening outside, the streetlights casting faint pools of light through the window. She showed me her latest lawyer email, dated September 18th, outlining David's refusal to sign, but confirming her legal right to proceed. "It's almost over," she said, her voice steadier now. "The court date's set for November. I'll be free then." I nodded, my chest lighter, and pulled her close, her head resting on my shoulder, her warmth grounding me. "I'm with you," I said, the words heavy but true. "But no more secrets, okay? We do this together. She nodded against me, her breath warm on my neck. Together, she whispered. The next day, we walked the park, the autumn leaves swirling around us, the air crisp with the scent of earth and pine. We held hands, her fingers laced with mine, and I felt a shift, a commitment deeper than before. I'd seen her fight, her determination to leave David, and I believed her now more than ever. The doubt wasn't gone, not completely, but it was quieter, overshadowed by the love I'd been holding on to since that first coffee date. The park stretched out before us, the world moving on, and I knew we were building something real, something worth fighting for. Even the road ahead wasn't easy. The winter air bit at my skin as I carried the last box into my new apartment on December 5th, 2024. The sky a pale gray over the city, snowflakes drifting lazily to the ground. The move had been sudden but inevitable. Elena's divorce from David was finalized on November 20th, the court ruling in her favor after months of legal battles, and we decided to start fresh together. The apartment was a small two-bedroom near the park, the windows fogged with the cold, the air inside warm with the scent of pine from a cheap Christmas tree we'd set up in the corner. It wasn't much, but it was ours, a home built from the ashes of her past and my doubts. The tech startup felt like a distant memory now, the hum of laptops and the scent of coffee replaced by the quiet of our new life. Elena had quit a week after the divorce, her last day marked by a small farewell party, her smile brighter than I'd ever seen it. "I'm free," she'd whispered to me that night, her hand in mine, and I'd felt the weight lift, not just from her, but from me too. David had fought hard, dragging out the process with stalling tactics, but her lawyer had been relentless, and the final decree severed the last ties to him. She'd show me the papers, the ink still fresh, her name no longer tied to his, and I'd held her as she cried. Tears of relief, not pain. We'd moved in that morning, my old apartment's mismatched furniture blending with her sketches and plants. The space a chaotic but cozy mix. I set the box, labeled books and memories, on the floor, the cardboard damp from the snow, and looked around. The living room had a worn couch, a coffee table scarred from years of use, and that little tree, its lights twinkling against the gray day. Elena emerged from the bedroom, her dark hair tied back, her hazel eyes warm as she carried a stack of her paintings. "This feels right," she said, setting them down, her voice soft but sure. I nodded, my throat tight, and pulled her close, her body fitting against mine like it always had. We spent the day unpacking, the winter light fading into a soft dusk, the apartment filling with the sound of our laughter, the clink of dishes, the rustle of paper. She told me stories of her marriage, how David had controlled her every move, how she felt invisible until she met me. And I shared my fears, the nights I'd doubted her, the moments I'd almost walked away. "I almost ruined us," I admitted, my voice low, and she shook her head, her hand on my cheek. "You saved me," she said. "You saw me when no one else did." Her words sank in, a balm to the scars her secret had left, and I knew we'd built something stronger from the pain. That night, we sat by the window, the snow falling thicker now, the park below a white blanket under the streetlights. She leaned against me, her head on my shoulder, and we talked about the future, my data analyst career, her dream to open an art gallery, maybe a trip to Spain someday. "No more secrets," I said, and she nodded, her fingers lacing with mine. "No more," she promised, her voice steady. The divorce had cost her, emotionally, financially, but had given her freedom, and me a chance to love her fully without the shadow of doubt. I thought about that first day in June, her laugh by the coffee machine, the sticky note with a smiley face, the coffee dates that turned into nights at my place. I'd fallen for her then, a dream I didn't think I deserved, and now here we were, building a life together. The snow tapped against a window, a quiet rhythm, and I felt a peace I hadn't known before. Elena was mine, not as a trophy or a facade, but as a partner, a love I'd fought for. The apartment was small, the winter cold outside, but inside, with her, it was home, a new beginning we'd earned, step by step.